Readers of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna may recall Sri Ramakrishna's prophecy before his death. He was dying with cancer of the throat. Out of love, he gave those who came to him much more than they deserved. M describes Sri Ramakrishna's suffering as another crucifixion. Quote, Sri Ramakrishna looked at the devotees, and his love for them wells up in thousand streams. Like a mother showing her tenderness to her children, he touches the face and chin of Rakhal and Narendra. A few minutes later, he says to him, if the body were to be preserved for a few days more, many people would have their spirituality awakened. He pauses a few minutes. Then he says, but this is not to be. This time body will not be preserved. The devotees eagerly await Master's next words. Master says, such is not the will of God. This time the body will not be preserved. Lest finding me guileless, foolish, people should take advantage of me. And lest I, guileless and foolish as I am, should give away everything to everybody. In this Kali Yuga Iron Age, you see, people are averse to meditation and japa and prayer. During Master's stay at Kashipur, Durgacharan saw him a few times. His visits were not frequent, for he could not bear to see the unspeakable suffering of the Master. One day, Sri Ramakrishna saw him entering the room and said, come near, sit close to me. He warmly embraced Nag Durgacharan for some minutes. Then said, look here, Durgacharan, the doctors have failed. Can you do anything to cure me? Durgacharan was a doctor. Nag reflected for a moment, then resolved to transfer the Master's disease upon to his own body. He said in an animated voice, yes, sir, I know how to cure you. By your grace, I will do it at once. And he approached the Master. Sri Ramakrishna divined his purpose and pushed him back, saying, yes, I know you can do that. Pushed him aside. Mark of a true love. He was a great spiritual person. He was taking Sri Ramakrishna's illness upon himself. Who in this world? Show me one fellow who will do that for you. After Sri Ramakrishna passed away, Durgacharan stopped eating. In his Calcutta residence, he remained lying down, covering himself with a blanket. When Narendra, later Swami Vivekananda, and other disciples heard of this, they came to his residence and fervently requested him to eat something. To that, Durgacharan took one of the earthen cooking pots and hit himself on the head with the pot, bitterly crying, he said, what good is there by giving food to this body that will see the Master no more? Swami Vivekananda's love for his Master. The Master used to busy himself about Narendra when the latter came to Dakshineshwar. The moment he saw Narendra at a distance, his entire mind would run out of his body. with great speed and bound him with an embrace of love. It is impossible to say how many occasions we saw Master get into samadhi saying, "There, no." He could not utter Narendra is coming. Still there came a time, even before very close intimacy developed, when Narendra would come to the Master, but the latter was supremely indifferent to him. He came, bowed down, sat in the front of him, and waited long. The Master looked at him but once and sat wholly indifferent, without even inquiring about his welfare, let alone expressing his loving concern for him. Narendra thought the Master was perhaps under the influence of spiritual emotion. Having waited long, he came out of the room, began talking with Hazra and smoking. Hearing that Master would be talking with others, Narendra came back to him, but the Master did not speak a word to him and lay down on his bed with a face turned on the opposite direction. The whole day passed that way and evening approached. Still Narendra found no change in the Master's attitude. So he bowed down to him and returned to Calcutta. Hardly had a week elapsed when Narendra came again to find the Master in the same mood. On that occasion also he spent the whole day in various talks with Hazara and others and started home before dusk. Narendra came for the fourth time without finding the slightest change in the attitude of the Master. But without feeling it at all distressed and wounded, he continued paying visits to the Master as usual. The Master sent from time to time someone to bring news of Narendra's welfare when the latter was staying at home, but he continued to behave towards him in that manner for some time more, whenever he would come to him. At the end of more than a month, when the Master saw Narendra did not stop from visiting Dakshineswar, he had him called one day and said, "Well, I do not speak even a single word with you, still you come. Why so?" Narendra said, "Sir, do I come here to hear you speak? I come here because I love you. I wish to see you that just once. That is why I come." Highly pleased with the reply, the Master said, "I was testing you to see whether you would cease coming if you did not get the proper love and attention. It is only spiritual aspirant of your order that can put up with such neglect and indifference. Anyone else would have left me long ago and would not have come anymore." That day, whole day, Sri Ramakrishna told others with tears, "Naren comes because he loves me. Others come for spiritual motive, curing a disease, winning a lawsuit, getting money. Only Narendra loves me."